Fourfold practice is the heart of the DNA of the art of hosting. It's what makes the art of hosting unique.
There is one practice that has four folds. So I don't see the fourfold practice as a philosophy, but it's a very rigorous, simple thing any human being can do.
It begins with presence. It begins with bringing ourselves fully to the work that we're doing, to the situations that we're in, to the moments that we're in. And we sometimes talk about that as the first conversation we need to host is the one with ourselves. Because we can be out in the world with hundreds of different people, but there's hundreds of different people in here we need to host first.
The dialogue inside yourself, the conversation inside, that's natural and that's okay. But if that conversation becomes reality for you, then that becomes alive in the world. If you're being critical always of yourself, how will you open up your heart to invite others' gifts and the beauty that they have to come into the work and the dialogue?
The second practice is to be a participant. And the simplest form of participation is in dialogue. So it's speaking from the heart, speaking your truth, speaking with intention, speaking as a way of contributing to what's going on, as a way of making meaning together, and listening deeply with an open heart to the people that are around you and listening for possibility.
What struck me so far is that people are willing to connect in a deeper level in their life other than an organizational level. And that's so unique to see people who work through these organizations that are not looking only the service of what they serve people, but are kind of communicating people into a personal level.
Certainly we have a lot of knowledge, we have skills, we have abilities, but what are some other tools that we can do to enhance what it is that we bring to work together? How can we move forward? What sorts of things can we do together to make a difference in our communities?
So the next circle here is hosting conversations. That's what you're all going to go do.
When people say they want to live in community, I'm saying, what are you going to practice to make that living in the common unity real?
And how are we going to go out in our communities and invite them into good conversation to work on the issues that are important to us? If your hope and plan is to host conversations in community, to make change in community, to make a difference in community, then that's the third fold, is to step into that work of hosting, to become a practitioner of good, meaningful conversation, of hosting them. You can't be very good at the piano if you don't practice. If you want to be a good host, it's important to go out and practice. Practice being in conversation.
What we practice is what our future will be like. So if I practice kindness, I practice listening, I practice asking questions from my heart, that's what I will become.
Once you know somebody's story, it limits the amount of the kinds of behaviors you can have towards them. It really creates the conditions for good and creates the conditions for the fourth practice, which is co-creation. And so in the art of hosting, we talk about this is not hero-based leadership. It's not about one person coming up with an idea, one person coming up with a vision, one person leading a path, but it's about creating the spaces for co-creation.
Over time, you want to build a community of practitioners. You want to move into that space of working with others to co-create the kinds of futures we hope for. Support each other, practice together, connect with each other, learn from each other.
None of us are smart enough to deal with the complexity that we're dealing with in the world, with complex situations. None of us are smart enough to have the answers. So to co-create something is to benefit from the diversity, but also to co-create something means to pay attention to the relationships, to pay attention to staying in it together, even when you don't know what the answers are yet, even when you're not clear about where to go. Because over time, the social capital and the social fabric that's woven by people that pay equal attention to their work and relationships is what keeps wise action sustainable.
It's an invitation to every human being on the planet to practice our humanity. And in this context, we call it practicing conversation, practicing harvesting the conversations, and acting wisely out of the clarity that these practices can do together.
It is very much like four faces of one practice. Essentially, the practice is the art of hosting. It's folded into these four things. And if you pay attention to those and mindfully practice those, then it animates so much more of what's at the heart of participatory leadership.